The great oil man, H.L. Hunt, who was at one time the richest self-made billionaire in the world, was once asked by a television journalist for his secrets of success. He replied there are only 3 requirements for success. First, decide exactly what it is you want in life. Second, determine the price that you're going to have to pay to get the things you want. And third, and this is most important, resolve to pay that price. One of the most important requirements for success, once you have decided what it is that you want, is the quality of willingness. Successful people are willing to pay the price, whatever it is and for as long as it takes, until they achieve the results they desire. Everyone wants to be successful. Everyone wants to be healthy, happy, thin, and rich. But most people are not willing to pay the price. Occasionally, they may be willing to pay part of the price, but they're not willing to pay the whole price. They always hold back. They always have some excuse or rationalization for not disciplining themselves to do everything that they need to do to achieve their goals. Pay the price. How can you tell when you have paid the full price of success? It's simple. Look around you. There it is. You can always tell how much of the price of success you have paid by looking at your current lifestyle and your bank account. By the law of correspondence, your outer world will, like a mirror, always reflect the person you are and the price that you have paid on the inside. There's an interesting point about the price of success. It must always be paid in full and in advance. Success, however you define it, is not like a restaurant where you pay after you've enjoyed your meal. Instead, it's like a cafeteria, where you can choose whatever you want, but you must pay for it before you eat it. Motivational speaker Zig Ziglar says, "The elevator to success is out of order, but the stairs are always open." Learn from the experts. Kopp Koppmeyer, who I mentioned in the introduction, also told me that the second most important success principle after self-discipline is that you must learn from the experts. He said you will never live long enough to learn it all for yourself. If you want to be successful, your first job is to learn what you need to learn in order to achieve the success you desire. Learn from the experts. Read their books. Listen to their audio programs. Attend their seminars. Write to them or approach them directly and ask for advice. Sometimes one idea is all you need to change the direction of your life.
Your talent and intelligence are not fixed, they're malleable. So you suck at skateboarding because you're afraid of pain. So the only thing you need to know right now, the point is not to avoid the pain, and you need to stop asking yourself, what's the least you can do to get good? And you need to start asking yourself, what's the most you can bear to become great? Once you understand the whole point is to let the suffering and the pain harden you into becoming the version of yourself that you need to become in order to execute at the highest level, to be world class at anything, and stop avoiding it, stop being afraid of it, and start understanding for what it really is, which is the thing that shapes you. So my entire youth, I feared pain. I moved away from pain. If something was emotionally or physically difficult, I avoided it. And I remember being in the gym one day and going, will you stop asking, like, what's the least you need to do to consider it a full week workout? Because it was like, could I stop now? Could I stop now? Could I stop now? And I was like, do you want the muscles, or do you want to like put on a show that you showed up? Like, you showed up, right? Like, because the muscles demand what the muscles demand. Like, you have to break them down, you have to push, you have to do more. Like, so it is purely a question of how much you're willing to bear, because there's never going to be enough. You could have always done more.
The commitments we make to ourselves and to others, and our integrity to those commitments, is the essence and clearest manifestation of our proactivity. It is also the essence of our growth. Through our human endowments of self-awareness and conscience, we become conscious of areas of weakness, areas for improvement, areas of talent that could be developed, areas that talent that could be developed, areas that need to be changed or eliminated from our lives. Then, as we recognize and use our imagination and independent will to act on that awareness, making promises, setting goals, and being true to them, we build the strength of character, the being that makes possible every other positive thing in our lives. It is here that we find 2 ways to put ourselves in control of our lives immediately. We can make a promise and keep it, or we can set a goal and work to achieve it. As we make and keep commitments, even small commitments, we begin to establish an inner integrity that gives us the awareness of self-control and the courage and strength to accept more of the responsibility for our own lives. By making and keeping promises to ourselves and others, little by little our honor becomes greater than our moods. The power to make and keep commitments to ourselves is the essence of developing the basic habits of effectiveness. Knowledge, skill, and desire are all within our control. We can work on any one to improve the balance of the three. As the area of intersection becomes larger, we more deeply internalize the principles upon which the habits are based and create the strength of character to move us in a balanced way toward increasing effectiveness in our lives.
Your brain is the most powerful weapon in the world. Once you put away your phones and your computers and all that we have nowadays, that's great. We're up to date, but your brain is the only thing you have when you're going through depression, when you're going through hard times, when you're going through death. Real life, you can't Google that, man. You're alone. You're alone. You may have a shrink you're going to, you may have a best friend you're going to, but there's 24 hours in the day where you're alone in this brain. And your brain is talking to you in all kinds of ways. And it wants to control you and pull you in these different pockets. If you can't control your own brain and your brain controls you, you got to tell your brain where you want to go and how you want to go and how you want to get there. You got to control it. If not, it's over.
Until you're willing to stop asking yourself what you can get away with and start asking yourself, how far can I go? Just how much am I capable of? And when your fascination becomes that, when you start wondering just how much am I capable of, and every level that you achieve excites you to push harder and go farther and do more and bear more weight, then all of a sudden you really can begin to surpass other people. But it takes a total shift of your mindset.
What the world throws at us is not necessarily your choice. But what you make out of it is entirely your choice. Yes? What you make out of it is entirely your choice. Your experience of life, this much you must come to every one of you young people. If you want your potential to open up in the world, one important thing that you must fix in your life is your experience of life, either peacefulness or agitation, either joy or misery, blissfulness or suffering, whatever it is, your experience is entirely made by you.
If you can teach people to stand up in the face of the things they're afraid of, they get stronger. And you don't know what the upper limits to that are, because you might ask yourself, like, if for 10 years, if you didn't avoid doing what you knew you needed to do, by your own definitions, right, within the value structure that you've created, to the degree that you've done that, what would you be like? Well, you know, there are remarkable people who come into the world from time to time, and there are people who do find out over decades-long periods what they could be like if they were who they were, if they spoke their being forward. And they get stronger and stronger and stronger, and we don't know the limits to that. We do not know the limits to that. And so you could say, well, in part, perhaps the reason that you're suffering unbearably can be left at your feet, because you're not everything you could be, and you know it. And of course, that's a terrible thing to admit, and it's a terrible thing to consider, but there's real promise in it, right? Because it means that perhaps there's another way that you could look at the world and another way that you could act in the world. So what it would reflect back to you would be much better than what it reflects back to you now. My experience is with people that we're probably running at about 51% of our capacity. I mean, you can think about this yourselves. I often ask undergraduates how many hours a day you waste or how many hours a week you waste. And the classic answer is something like 4 to 6 hours a day. You know, inefficient studying, watching things on YouTube that not only do you not want to watch, that you don't even care about, that make you feel horrible about watching after you're done. That's probably 4 hours right there. You know, you think, well, that's 25 hours a week, it's 100 hours a month, that's 2.5 full work weeks, it's half a year of work weeks per year. And if your time is worth $20 an hour, which is a radical underestimate. It's probably more like 50 if you think about it in terms of deferred wages. If you're wasting 20 hours a week, you're wasting $50,000 a year. And you are doing that right now. And it's because you're young, wasting $50,000 a year is a way bigger catastrophe than it would be for me to waste it, because I'm not going to last nearly as long. And so if your life isn't everything it could be, you could ask yourself, well, what would happen if you just stopped wasting the opportunities that are in front of you? You'd be who knows how much more efficient, 10 times more efficient, 20 times more efficient. That's the Pareto distribution. You have no idea how efficient people get. It's off the charts.